Hey guys, Drew Harrell here with Nine Leadership. Welcome to today's video. We're talking today to a good friend of mine, Sharon Podobnik Peterson, an executive coach like me, as well as a founder of the Go Love Yourself box, subscription box for self-care for women. So today we're talking about self-care. It's not a coincidence. Stand by and hope you enjoy the video. Please like the video if you like it and subscribe to our channel to get updates and hit the bell so you get notified of future videos as we publish them. And if you have any questions for us, please feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks guys, enjoy the video. All right, Sharon, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little more about you?
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. It's good to see you and talk to you. My name is Sharon Podobnik Peterson. I am the founder and CEO of Go Love Yourself, which is a self-help, self-care, and self-coaching subscription box and community for women. I am also the head leadership coach of the Center for Conscious Leadership, where I do coaching for mostly women and mostly folks in social impact, but also teams and anybody who's looking to do good in this world. And then I get to partner with Drew for the Coach Kickstarter, which is really fun and exciting.
Yeah, so shameless plug, Coach Kickstarter is a wonderful way to grow your business and to make sure your business is ready for doing business in 2020.
Yep.
So anyway, aside from the plugs we're doing now, so today we're talking about self-care and why it's something that people don't necessarily know how to do properly. And so I know your Go Love Yourself box is focused towards women, but maybe some tips for guys as well might be helpful.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Awesome. So I want to jump in. So Sharon, tell us what self-care actually means.
Yeah. So fundamentally, self-care started in the helping professions, right? It started in places like medicine and nursing, where self-care really means to take care of yourself, especially when you are sick or not doing very well. These things are fundamentally, eating, sleeping, taking your medications if you need them, making sure to get adequate rest and nutrition and water and all of the things that keep our body functioning. However, in the recent decades, we see things like anxiety and stress turning into serious health problems, right? These are not run-of-the-mill, like isolated things that we're experiencing anymore. Stress and anxiety are rampant, and most everyone feels them. And I actually read a stat recently that says something like a third of all people will have a diagnosable anxiety condition at this point, which is terrifying and terrible. But also there are some things that we can do to help when things like stress and anxiety are starting to feel like serious, they're having serious effects on our lives. So in places like this, self-care can be anything from those things that I was mentioning before: sleep and nutrition and eating right and moving your body, all of these things. But they could take on different forms too. So when we're dealing with things like stress and anxiety, activities like meditation and journaling really help. They help us to stay in the present rather than worrying about the past or living in the future. And so self-care really, fundamentally, it's still whatever you need it to be. Whatever it is that you are in need of right now, it is taking care of that thing for yourself.
Cool. And I can't imagine why that would be very needy right now.
Yeah. No, can't think of any reasons.
Yeah, it's not like stress is high or anything right now. It's just a typical
no fear, no anxiety.
No
business
reason
as usual. Right.
So what are some things that people can do? I know a lot of people, they go to get massages, they get their hair cut, like I did for myself today. Hopefully it's not too bad.
You did great.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I pay you to say that, but that's cool. What are some things people can do without leaving their houses? Because right now, obviously, we're trying to keep people at home, trying to make sure people stay at home and don't spread this thing around. So what can people do from their homes?
Really it's all the same, just from home, right? So when we think about some of those things I was mentioning before that lead to long-term health and well-being, they are still all accessible from our homes. We can still eat well. We can still move our body. We can still go on walks and take bike rides and do all of the things that we need to do. Something I didn't mention earlier that is equally as important, if not more so sometimes, is connection, right? And I think right now we are conflating distancing with isolation. And I think the term social isolation might have something to do with it here, right? Because
I hate that term.
it's
Social distancing is the worst. I'm making a conscious effort myself to not use the term social distancing. I actually say physical distancing because
that's what it
social
is.
distancing is very different. It's physical. It's not
Right.
social.
Exactly. And so it really hurts my heart when people talk about social distancing, because when you talk about it in that way, it does feel super isolating.
Yeah.
And, if you think about it, you can feel alone at a party. You can feel alone surrounded by other people. That's not the thing. You can also feel super connected to somebody from a distance, right? Like
Yeah.
you can, I mean, we're hosting game nights with our friends. We're still video chatting with our parents, right?
Yep.
It's funny because in a way, I sometimes feel closer to people right now because we are being intentional
Yes.
about talking to all of our friends and setting up regular Skype dates and setting up regular game nights in a way that we maybe weren't before, because we're paying conscious attention to the distancing or whatever the thing is. But I think, maybe some of these things like going out and getting a massage, we can't do. However, in the same way that you couldn't go get a haircut, so you did it yourself, we can give ourselves massages, right? Like there is no reason that we can't go get some lotion. And I mean, you can still work your own muscles, right? You can still create the atmosphere where we are playing music, lighting a candle, dimming the lights, whatever the thing looks like, right? Like it's still all possible from home. And so I would say often I hear people going like, well, I can't go do this thing. Right, you might not be able to do that specific thing. However, there is something that you could do at home to replace it. Or it's like meatless chicken, right? Sometimes you don't want the like at home fake version of the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you actually want a replacement. And so find whatever the falafel is to your chicken when you're at home and find a replacement that is actually suitable and not just an uncomfortable knockoff.
Yeah. No, I think what you mentioned too earlier, which was like some things like meditating or like taking time to actually journal and
Mm-hmm.
be intentional and be mindful about things. I mean that's a creating a mindfulness practice is huge for
Yeah.
self-care, right? I mean, because I did an interview with a chiropractor a couple of days ago, and he was mentioning, which is completely true, that physical health and emotional health are interconnected, right? They're very much connected. So moving your body, keeping your mind going, keep your mind in a situation where you're mentally healthy,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally healthy, and physically healthy, it's huge.
Yes, fully agree.
So, what do we say to some folks who will say, I don't want to be selfish with
Mm.
myself. I don't want to be, self care is for people who are selfish."
So, this one grinds my gears. So, two things that I want to offer. Because if you think about separating what you said, like self care can be different for men and women. And this is a place where I think it becomes um, abundantly clear. Because if you think of one of the highest praises that you can give to a woman, it is that she is selfless. And if the highest praise that we can give to a woman is that she is selfless, it means that she is losing herself and losing the ability to prioritize herself and what she needs, because she's constantly giving, right? She's giving of herself, giving to her kids, her family, her community, whatever the thing is. And I cannot claim that this is my idea. I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you haven't, reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle. It is a pretty new book, fresh on the shelves. And she talks a lot about what this means and the specifics of it all. And this is my shameless plug. If you haven't read it yet, it is Go Love Yourself Box of the Month. It's our book of the month. So check it out. We're shipping in a couple days. www.thegoloveyourselfbox.com. So, but really what it's about here is if we as women say that the highest form of womanhood is to be selfless, then anything that we do to reserve our time, attention, and money for ourselves is selfish. Because the expectation is that you don't do anything for yourself. When the expectation is that you should have nothing left at the end of the day for yourself because you are constantly giving to other people, then it is going to be selfish. It is going to be selfish to retain any of that for yourself. And so if you're doing nice things for yourself instead of other people, that will feel selfish. I think that isn't true it's true in some ways for men. You can speak to that more than I can. But I know from personal experience that it is true for women. Would you say that that is true for men?
I think that it's actually a very similar parallel with men, because I know that men uh, who prioritize themselves are considered selfish, right? They put themselves first or whatever, are considered selfish. And I think that's actually a common thing between women and men, is that when you put yourself first, when you engage in self care, it can be very easily mistaken for selfish.
Yeah.
On top of that, for guys who do, get manicures or get, foot massages or get massages in general, it's also considered, the whole towing the line between being what's masculine, and what's not, right? What's expected of you, of people.
Right.
And that can be considered like, oh, you're acting like a girl, or you're acting, not being macho or whatever it looks like. But I think the selflessness concept is one that goes into being a man as well. Like a man, again, it's a huge compliment for someone to say that a guy is selfless, right? Because he's giving everything to his family, to his friends, to everyone. You're focused on putting food on the table. You're the provider, right? The hunter gatherer. And so for you to, you're not gathering for yourself, you're gathering for your family, right? In theory, you're not providing for yourself, you're providing for people that matter for you in your life. And so for you to give your time and give your energy to them is honorable. For you to do that for yourself is selfish. It's arrogant, it's conceited, it's self-centered. And so it's almost looked down upon. So where's that line? I mean, it sounds like it's actually a very similar parallel between women and men, about this situation. But where's the parallel? Where's the line between those two things, between selfish and self-care?
Yeah. So I think kind of two things here. And one, you were talking about like what it means to be masculine or what it means to be feminine. And so I think when we are thinking about like who we are supposed to be and how we are supposed to be, so much of that is rooted in our belief about who we're supposed to be as a insert thing here, right? It could be woman, it could be man, it could be parent, it could be teacher, it could be coach, it could be literally whatever. But I think there's so much bound up in what our beliefs are about the roles that we hold that it can conflate other ideas that we might hold about self-care and what we, other values that we might have around taking care of yourself or health or any of these other things. And to your point about like, where's the line? So earlier before we hit record on this, we were talking about, folks that are still going out, and I'm seeing pictures of people picnicking because it's finally nice outside. And like, I get it. I know I want to go on a picnic too, but there's a difference between like, I get to do this right now in the name of self-care and what it means to balance self-care and community care. And so the way that I actually distinguish between the two is, I mean, this is the great country of self-determination, right? Like individualism is a big deal and being able to do whatever you want to do is a big deal. However, there's a way that we can do this assertively and say, these are my rights and I'm going to do this because these are my rights. And there's a way to do that in which case we are actually stepping on the rights of others, right? So when we are doing something that is in the name of our own self-determination or self-care, that is actually putting others at risk or, contributing to the problem, it's no longer assertive self-care or assertive self-determination. We're talking about aggressive self-care and aggressive self-determination. And I don't think anybody wants to participate in aggressive self-care. That just sounds kind of crazy. But I was talking earlier about aggressive self-care is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But if you think about,
we should patent that concept.
I'm into it. But it's, if you think about self-care versus community care, what I would really love to see, and I don't know if this will happen in our lifetimes, but if it's going to happen, now seems like a great time for it, is understanding the role that self-care and community care play in each other, right? So when we talk about self-care, it's meeting our own needs and prioritizing our own well-being. But it doesn't like talk about anybody else or the outside world. Community care says you have the right and honestly the responsibility to take care of yourself. And in those moments where you're doing okay and have a reserve and, your relative privilege in this moment allows you to contribute back This
Yeah.
is the time for you to show up. If you're doing okay, find whatever you have that is extra, whether it's money, time, attention, connection, energy, whatever that thing is. And like, now's the time to give back. And so with the idea of community care is a commitment to each other and saying, when I'm okay, I'm going to commit to showing up for you. And I trust that when I'm not doing okay, you're going to commit to showing up for me. And it's balancing my needs with the needs of others to say, okay, how am I doing? How are you doing? How can we work together to make sure everyone's doing okay?
Right. No, I love that, actually. I mean, and the way I think about it too is it's similar along the same lines, the community care, self-care. The way I think about it is that you take care of yourself so that you are able to be in service to others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, obviously you can't help others if you can't help yourself, right?
Right.
So help yourself first. Make sure you're good to go.
Yes.
As long as you're okay and you're able to take care of yourself, you can pay your bills. You can, meet your responsibilities as a father, as a son,
Yep.
as a son, as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, right?
Yep.
Then move on and take that energy that you have and put it towards serving others.
Correct.
Help them when they're able to do that, right? If they need help, if you're able to be in service to others, that's how you can really make that go around. And I think, the idea of paying that energy forward and then having them be able to have the energy now, then say, okay, well, now I have a little extra energy now. I can only put that forward to somebody else.
Right.
Maybe not back to me, but to someone else who might need it out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think how we make the difference. Like you said, now is the time to do that. If there was ever a time, this would be it.
The
right?
universe is asking for it. It's saying, here's your opportunity, my friends. What do you want to do with it?
A friend of mine, he mentioned that he's in a community in an older. He's older. He's my old mentor, actually, and he's in a community with older folks, and he's one of the younger folks in that group. And so he makes it a point to put on his mask, put on his gloves, everything, and go out and do a grocery run for everybody in his floor,
Mm-hmm.
which is freaking cool, fantastic, right? And there's not enough of that going around. I feel like, that kind of thing where he's like, again, that's a great example of like balancing self-care, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to do it for yourself, so you're gonna put your mask and gloves on anyway, right? Why not reach out to people and say, hey, listen, I'm going out to do this anyway for myself. I'm taking care of myself. Let me help take care of you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really that much. I mean, what, you have to carry an extra couple bags of groceries. That's really it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I think that's a pretty good illustration of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think, it's aggressive self-determination again, right? Like or if you're thinking about it in terms of this going to the grocery idea, right? If I'm going to go to the grocery store and I see that there's extra toilet paper, I can either get it all and hoard it, which is aggressive self-care because I'm hoarding all of this stuff that I need and people need for myself, or I can go see that it's there, take it back to my community and say, y'all, I found some, who needs it?
Right.
Yeah, completely.
And seriously, what is the obsession with toilet paper? I don't understand. How much are people shitting right now? Like, is it, I mean.
But fear makes you do crazy things, right? Like in the presence of fear,
mm-hmm.
so often we just want to control it. We need to find some method of feeling like we're in control. Yeah. I don't know if this is related to the toilet paper situation or not, but I feel like
it's a weird thing to be in control of, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, toilet paper?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It is strange.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, FYI, if you do happen to throw toilet paper into your Go Love Yourself box this month, it might be a good idea.
I hadn't even thought of that. But that's
get a couple of subscriptions.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong about that. I think that ship has sailed for April. We might be able to float that in May, but that is funny.
Just be like, hey, free roll toilet paper for the next 5 subscriptions.
Right.
Done. And now you've gotten 10,000 extra subscriptions.
Yeah. That,
You never know.
You're going to see some toilet paper subscription boxes jumping up too.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
right.
that's the future. That's the wave of the future.
Oh, good grief.
Anyway, I think we're getting a little off topic, but I think that being said, I think, I agree with you though. I think aggressive self-determination, aggressive self-care is not the way to go. It's more the assertive self-care, right? It's like, I'm going to make sure I make time for myself, to take care of myself so that I can actually still be in service to others, right? So I can take care of, people that mean something to me and be there for them.
Yes. Correct.
Because if you, I mean, frankly, yeah, I get it. I mean, some people are really freaking out about this and they're not able to be there about it. I get that. You know, I'm never gonna fault someone for dealing with that right now.
That's
It's
real.
a high stress situation, you know? However, if you're hoarding toilet paper, for example, and just sitting there and then trying to sell it on the black market, that is beyond aggressive self-care. That's more being a douchebag. So, you know, let's not go down that route, right? You know,
Right.
So in terms of your box, tell us a little bit more about that before we close.
Yeah. I love it. So basically, for folks who are not familiar with subscription services like this, it's quite similar to a subscription with a magazine, right? So every month you get a magazine delivered to your doorstep, except I send you a curated box full of goodies. And so every single month I send women across the planet, actually, a self-help book, and I take the ideas in that self-help book and turn it into a self-guided coaching book, right? So you can actually take the ideas and reflect on them, journal about them, think about how it applies to your life, make it applicable, set goals, track progress, all kinds of wonderful stuff. So I take everything from my 10 years in education and my 5 years in coaching, put it together and create a workbook every single month. And then there's lots of great self-care items. And so it could be anything from helping you to put the ideas from the books into action through the items, or just some really nice self-care items. So I think this month we have jewelry. We tend to have snacks. There's usually some kind of tea, an item that helps you to remember the theme. So I don't know if you can see, we can do hard things up here. That is a print that you're going to find in this month's box to remind you this thing is hard, but we can do hard things. And every single month with your membership, you get a 30-minute coaching conversation with one of our featured coaches. There's a women's circle for you to come together in togetherness and in community and in shared humanity. And we have an online community Facebook group, private, where we do weekly intention setting, daily prompts, all kinds of wonderful things to stay on top of the learning, be in togetherness, and honestly just go through this journey that we call life together. So it's a pretty robust service in my opinion, but if you're interested, check it out. We're on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find us on Amazon now, which is brand new and kind of exciting.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you. Very excited about it. And you can find past books, past boxes, past workbooks, all of that wonderful stuff on our website as well.
Cool. So how'd you come up with the idea?
A burnout. So like I said, I was in education, right? And I distinctly remember as a teacher them being like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. And I'm working 15-hour days saying, you want me to go to the gym right now? No, like I need to get some sleep. I was working like on 4.5 hours most nights and just not taking care of myself. And I didn't take any of the messages about self-care seriously either. And so lo and behold, who could have predicted that I'd burn out? And a series of panic attacks on my honeymoon led me to honestly just question everything that I took as fact and reality up until that point. And so came back, quit my job and said, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do what I've been doing. At that point, I was coaching in school systems, and I decided to take coaching out of school systems into leadership in a variety of different fields and industries. And I was like, how do I package this thing called self-care, right? Like people keep talking about it, but what, like, how do I get it? Like, I want somebody to hand me a toolkit and say, this is your self-care toolkit. Go do this. Like, spell it out for me, friends, because I'm busy and I'm tired and I don't have time to figure it out for myself. Just hand it to me. And so I found a way to package it up and seal it in a box and send it to people all over the world. And that's kind of how it came to be.
You have an email address that you want people to reach out to you at if they want to get in touch with you?
Sharon at thegoloveyourselfbox.com.
Cool. I'll put that also in the description below. So
thank you.
Sharon, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
This was fun.
And I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if not, reach out to either one of us and we'd be happy to talk to you more.
Sounds good. Thanks, Drew. Bye.
See ya.